Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Come on!
Live from Sridham, Mayapur, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and birthday boy, Kastuba's birthday today.
Yo.
Haribo.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, and we're here live with our live crew with our first ever Mayapur retreat, which came right after the Flower Festival. We got a whole new group of people. Some people actually stayed the whole time. They just stayed on, trying to shake them, but they're attached. Yeah, I love having these people. And this Mayapur is a really special place. Before we get into it, first, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Love being. Did you read my message?
Where?
I wrote you a card.
Oh, on that.
Yeah.
I haven't read that yet.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
Don't say anything then.
Why?
Well, I can't. If you want to say it publicly, I'll say
No.
it publicly.
You don't.
I'm glad. I'm incredibly grateful that you're my friend,
Oh.
a spiritual counselor, my partner in crime. So grateful to have you in my life. And I'm excited for the present is very joyous, and the future is exciting.
You're giving me a present?
No, the present, meaning now. This is the
not
present.
giving me a present.
Appreciations. There will be no present this year. Santa Claus is not real. Because in Vedic holidays, it's your birthday. You got to give. You know that. I'll get a present for you.
I'm supposed to give
Yeah,
the
you're supposed to
present.
give. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. What do you want?
No. I just want to be here with you. That's all I want.
But I'm very excited for the future. I'm excited for the future of Bhakti Yoga and to spread the holy name with you.
And we were speaking, a month or two ago about the idea of us having an ashram here in Mayapur someday. Right?
We were just sort of like daydreaming, and like now we're
feels
all now
right.
It feels like
Feels right.
Of course,
Yeah.
Of course, you need an ashram here.
We're starting to do those kind of ashram things, like serve out the food, serve out the prasadam.
The old school way,
Old
not
school,
like
sitting
a
down.
buffet, like you sit on the floor and we
Yeah.
come around and serve, and it's such a nice way. The best part of that serve out is when everyone sits on the floor. Is when you're finally done, you go to them with your hands folded and you say, "Prabhu, can I get you
That's their
anything else?
favorite thing, right?
Prabhu, can I get you
Anything.
anything? Please, let me, please."
They're like, no, I'm very
Please,
happy.
please, and I know I could. Let me satisfy you a little.
But that's the culture, right?
It's the culture of service.
We're training up Zashali in it, and she just did a great job. She like the details. She heard it out. She took it in.
S-
Then she just started operating that way, and I could just see.
You
That's
know,
how the culture gets handed down.
Some of these people on this trip, it's like they've been practicing bhakti for many lifetimes. It feels.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's very nice to have faces we see on Zoom, or people we don't know because they're others. It's nice to have them here in person,
But
especially the entire Lebanese family here,
Oh yeah.
including Karuna, Tulsi, Prema, and baby Madhurya. It's really nice. Karuna's a blast, isn't she? 10 years old. She's a cross between like chastising me for doing something inappropriate and then like I'm gonna go build a fort.
She's powerful. She's got over 100 shlokas under her belt, and she's working on 150 Gita shlokas, and then she's memorized the entire Brahma Samhita. So she's carrying around a lot of very powerful knowledge,
wisdom from previous lives.
small little
I'm
package.
ready for her to ascend the Vyasa-san one day and just start benedicting, calling people up, giving them benedictions. But right now, back to your fort.
But she's also gave me a wonderful gift today.
Oh, what did she give you?
She gave me a scarf that she knitted. A beautiful
Oh,
scarf.
she
Yeah.
is working with Mara in the
The
in
factory.
in the scarf factory. Mara employs her for 4 cents an hour. Now she's also a knitter. They knit together during the podcast. Mara, can you talk about Italy? Because talking about we're going to come together for Italy, and we just we're going to announce it because there's
That was
still
a
some
segue
spaces
into
left, but it
announcements?
really
It's filling up.
is a special spot.
Yeah, we have Wisdom of the Sages retreat in Italy, June 11th through 18th, and you can sign up on the website, wisdomofthesages.com.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great time of year to go to Italy because I don't know if you know this. Italy is one of these very high traffic places, and this is right before the peak season where it's still warm and it's still nice out, but the flights were not that expensive. I found.
You know what people could do this year
And it's not crowded.
is if they fly through New York, they could come in because we always do a retreat on
Ooh.
the Rath Yatra weekend in New York. So you would that would probably be like Friday and Saturday and Sunday morning, and then you fly out that Sunday night or the next Monday morning.
And that's Rath Yatra.
Yeah, you
Or
get
they can come a week earlier because we're going to do a retreat and Madhava's going to sing that Thursday before Rath Yatra.
So you could do upstate New York retreat, goes right into the weekend Rath Yatra retreat that goes right into the Italy retreat.
Come live with us forever.
Well, that was my point about here is that if we had our ashram here, people could stay for lengthy periods of time.
You know what? When you hang out in these holy places that are just steeped in wisdom. By the way, wisdom doesn't always mean it's pleasant. Sometimes wisdom is very weighty. Can I tell you, today I met this very nice Prabhupada disciple, and he wrote a poem. He sent me a poem, and I didn't quite understand. It was a poem about heartbreak and things like that. And I could relate to that because I remember joining the ashram. I wrote a song called Modern Love Story, which was about what as a teenager, what we wanted out of love in the world. And it was just sort of, oftentimes it's built around, we call it love, but it's built oftentimes of selfishness and my needs and how we romanticize love.
Yeah.
But it sort of, and I think the whole world, the material world, the whole thing is romanticized, period. And there's some very ugly truths, which we're going to get to the campfire last night. We'll talk about that. But this person said, he was married and he had 3 little children, like the youngest being 6 months old, and loved his wife. And wife just one day decided, I'm not into this. I think you're in a cult, and I'm taking the 3 kids. And she got court orders against him. And he said, we read the story of King Chetraketu, where he prays for a son, and the sage said, the son will be the greatest cause of your happiness, the greatest cause of your distress. And the son dies, and he loses it, breaks down, cries. The son comes back to life and says, I've had millions of fathers. Which one are you? And then Chitraketu learns his lesson. I wish it could be that simple, but a lot of us, we get our heart broken, or we have loss. Somebody betrays us. Someone dies suddenly, and we can't even function in the world anymore. And he said, I had a nervous breakdown. I just lost my mind, I feel. And you could think about the material world. We romanticize it. We say, life is good T-shirts, and we polish everything. But it's a temporary world. And when you try to polish that up to be an eternal world where everything's just going to work out wrinkle-free, you set yourself up for disaster.
So the poem was
all about heartbreak and loss and the desire to repose his love in something eternal. Right? Okay. And it's again, we were saying, I can't remember when I said it, maybe yesterday or today. And it was something about, it's okay to have a quote, soulmate. We use that a lot. But don't misplace the soulmate to be your God. Because your soulmate, in every sense of the word, is temporary. Their bodies are temporary. They might all of a sudden, I decided I don't like you anymore. Or they might die before you, or you die before they die, or something. But don't let that person be your God, or you're setting yourself up.
Even your source of happiness. Exactly, right? It's not like that person is my source of happiness. Is something that's within me.
Sure. That becomes a really sick situation where you want the person, and we've said that, where a person almost is held emotionally hostage because they want to
like you feel responsible for somebody's happiness, and they sort of project it sometimes on you.
Okay.
And sometimes we do that to other people. Sometimes people do it to us, but it's also a type of sick dysfunction of the material, a sick type of codependence that becomes very
Sick.
sad. It
Okay.
becomes very sad. The people are kept on a long leash. They feel incredibly smothered, and we call it love.
Hmm.
And it's really just a type of like
Battle
hostage
for
crisis.
position, like just trying to find some footing in the world.
Yeah, our happiness is our responsibility. And if you have this sadness that's over your head, be very, very careful about going into a relationship thinking this guy or this girl will fix me. They're not going to fix you. You're going to bring your mind to that relationship. And you're going to get a burst of like, I'm important. She loves me or he loves me. But that's not going to be the key to fix it. You've got to do your own work. And when you're single, it's like the least important thing to do, work on yourself. But that's the most important time to do it.
You're like Dr. Phil over here
Thank
today.
you. How can I help you? Happy birthday. How's your birthday, by the way?
It's been wonderful. I just feel very, very grateful.
Mara bought that cake for you.
Oh,
She's
Mara
been
bought
thinking
that
about
cake? I
you,
didn't even know
thinking about
that.
you for a
Oh,
long
Mara,
time. I want to do something
gee.
special. She goes, should I sponsor the feast? I go, no, we already got feast. She goes, all right, then I'm going to get him a really good cake.
I didn't know that. That was wonderful. It was wonderful to be able to serve that cake.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mara.
she's nice. She's nice.
Wonderful. No, I feel grateful on so many levels. I feel grateful to be here with you. You've been my dear friend for so long, and to be able to serve like this,
Me.
little you, and to be with such wonderful people, and to be able, I thought this morning, as even I swear, even as I was brushing my teeth and everything, I said, if like this, just say like everyone's gonna get your basic needs taken care of.
Yeah.
Go out and do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I would be doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I would be doing. And that's a wonderful feeling. And that's a blessing that I've had in my life. That
There sometimes, you talking today, we went to some special places.
Mhm.
Srivasa Angam, the last place. And I was talking about how ever see them building massive skyscrapers in New York? It starts with like these boards are up and there's pits, like, because they have to get these beams down really low. So you can look through a hole sometimes. Oh, what's going on there? But you can tell something massive is about to happen. Something massive. By the way they're setting, I think they got the whole city block out. That's how I feel about Bhakti right now. But it's like something massive is about to happen, and we're at the foundation of it. The foundation is Srila Prabhupada came here and he resurrected Bhakti. And there's like a tsunami. And like, when they have tsunamis, because I follow #tsunamis, the water goes out so far that everyone's like in shock. Like, have you ever seen the water go out that far? I've never seen the water. Why is the tide so low? And they don't realize it's going way back because it's about to inundate the entire village or town. And I feel like Prabhupada coming was that deep foundation, the tide pull. What's it called when the tide pulls out? The undercurrent or undertow. And then all of a sudden, it's going to crash. And it's exciting to be here. They're just building up this massive dome for the temple of the Vedic planetarium. And it's so impressive to see the labor of love by thousands of devotees doing this, contributing, physically doing it, supporting, moving to this like Vedic village out here. Mayapur is like a Vedic village. It's so nice to see young kids here just doing their thing around, and couples, and just dedicated couples, and their parents are dedicated, and just that dedication to Krishna. And it those early years with Prabhupada, those devotees who are just said, I'm just dedicated to my guru. This life, I'm just giving it to my guru. Instead of having thousands of plan Bs and plan Cs and plan Ds, they're like, you know what? This life is for my guru. It's a beautiful, one-pointed intelligence. And from that, magnificent masterpieces get created.
Magnificent masterpieces.
Magnificent masterpieces.
Masterpiece theater.
So, yeah.
Okay.
We went on a boat yesterday.
We did.
Let's talk about the boat. We went on a chanting boat on the Ganga. I put it on Instagram Live. A lot of people saw it. I think I posted it as well. Just chanted. These really lovely devotees chanted. Maya chanted. Doyal chanted. That was special.
There was quite a few special things about it.
Doyal chanted the Gora Arti. And that's the evening that's the ISKCON standard evening song. It's a beautiful evening melody where they sing about Lord Chaitanya's incredible Mahaprakash manifestation at Srivas Angam on the banks of the Ganga, with the sun setting and the devotees leading sweet kirtan. And then they have this phenomenon where all the demigods appear, where Lord Brahma, Sukadeva Goswami, Shiva appeared. And they're all like choked up in love. And he was singing that song, and we were right in front of Bhaktivinode Thakur's house, who wrote the song and who envisioned this dome. And we were singing. I was just like, oh my God, we are getting the blessings of Bhaktivinode Thakur right now.
Yeah.
We're living out this person, this great master's dream. We're getting to be part of his dream, his vision. What a magnificent, magnificent masterpiece.
Another magnificent masterpiece. Yeah, no, I also, it kind of occurred to me while we're out there that, because we're floating on the Ganga and we're doing kirtan. People just having fun, just
Having
so
fun.
many talented devotees. It is beautiful just to be part of a culture where anyone can put our harmonium in front of anyone, and there's so many people can just begin to lead it, and everyone can join in, and you can experience the different flavors of devotion that each person has. So we're floating around the Ganges River, the Ganga, and then there's the other river that meets it. It's a small river, a very beautiful small river, the Jalangi.
The Jalangi.
And so then they turned the boat, and we went up the Jalangi, which I didn't know they were going to do.
Yeah.
Just as the sun was starting to
It was
set.
getting late. I was
Yeah.
like, are we going to take this boat back?
Yeah, no.
Do we have
surprised.
headlights on this
I was
thing?
surprised, but I was happy that we went up the Jalangi, and that's where the home of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is, right practically on the bank of the Jalangi River, and it was right at that time of day. You called it the Gora Arti, and we also called it the Sandhya Arti, right?
The song's called Gora Arti. The
Yeah.
Arti in the temple is called the Sandhya. It's the Sandhya, like the meeting of night and evening.
No, day and night, you could say, right?
Well, the evening is
But not the meeting of the evening and the night.
the
Those are-
evening of the sun hits the earth.
Anyways, that dusk. You would call it,
Dusk.
right?
Call that dusk.
Yeah, and so
The dusk Arti.
we sang that song floating on the beautiful Jalangi River, just right in front of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house, singing his song. And what I felt, it's such a beautiful song, and it's a song that it's about the ecstasy that you feel when you chant these mantras in congregation, right? When this yoga practice for this age, the kirtan,
Mhm.
singing together, it's described that for this age, this is the most effective and powerful. It is the yoga practice for this age.
Mm.
And so to do that floating on a boat in front of his home, even though we're not masters, even though in one sense we're all just beginners at this, I felt I felt almost like he's got this kind of sweet grandfatherly kind of presence. And
That's Thakur. I feel that from him.
yeah, and just the fact that we would be out there floating on a boat singing his song in front of his home at that time, just that, yeah, it would grant us special blessings.
Yeah, there's a
that-
softness to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and
Yeah.
a deep introspection. He was a very prolific songwriter
Mhm.
and poet, and had 10 children, something like that.
Yeah. But
And Prabhupada's guru was one of his sons.
Yeah, and I just think that, bhakti is like that, where it is about details. Like you can reach someone's heart just by being thoughtful, and not that we really thought, but just that we were there and we were singing that we got something special blessings.
Signal is breaking up. We're gonna have to. That was 2 minutes ago. Okay, how's the signal, people? Give us thumbs up if you can hear us. Okay, thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay, sort of up, sort of up. So we were on the way. We had a visit to the Ganga Temple right across from the
that
ISKCON Temple. Quite nice, quite charming.
I love that temple. I thought you spoke really well there, Raghunath. You spoke about Ganga.
I have a strong attachment to Mother Ganga.
Yeah, and I was mentioning there that there's something very sweet. It's a shack. Is all that
Shack.
Externally, that's all it is. It's kind
It's
of like
Beverly Hills real estate, though, isn't it? Right on the Ganga
well,
like
in
that.
sense, I suppose. But like the building itself is just a small little what do they call that? Like
Shanty.
no, but sheet metal kind of thing.
Sheet metal
It's just
shanty.
the shed.
Shed.
But
barn.
and then they have a simple altar with the beautiful deity of Ganga Devi there. the priests there are very sweet people,
Sweet.
and it's kind of like because everyone's bathing in the Ganga, you kind of come in there and you're in your wet bathing suit, even.
Yeah, people
you
are
know.
coming in there wet,
So
dripping.
it feels kind of like a beach kind of
Yeah, it's
thing.
sort of like a beach restaurant. You know what I mean? Come in wet to the beach, got flip flops on, no shirt.
Yeah,
It's like that, except a temple.
and
not
you
a
know
restaurant.
when I've been living here for months now, so when
You've been going there a lot?
we go there every day,
Every day.
and
Take your bath there every day?
yeah,
I like how they put a safety thing so you don't get dragged away by the
that's
Ganga.
important.
It didn't seem that strong.
It's
earlier
very
yesterday.
strong.
It is.
Yeah, and
Okay.
but in any case, while I was there, I was always anticipating the time when we would all come there together with
Mhm.
this group. So it was a joy for me to be with the whole group there, and I really appreciated how you spoke. And I think we got to go back and all bathe together and go to that temple again.
Okay, we'll do that.
Fit that
We'll
into the
bathe.
schedule.
I will say that it was really nice as we're getting to the boat where I was like, oh, how nice. They built us a fire. They really know how to take care of us. I can't remember who it was. One of you guys, Raghu, I don't, Cody, maybe. I don't think that's a bonfire. I think that's a head in there. I was like, no, it's not a head. That looks like a coconut and a stick. And they're like, nope, that's a body burning. We saw body burning. And some of us, how many people here never saw body burn before? How many people here never saw a dead body? Okay, yeah. But we hide it very well. Slip it away. We sweep it up, right? It's hard unless you're like an EMT or work in a mortuary. We're very expert at hiding bodies. But we saw a body burn and roast, and it really makes me look at. I thought of my own body immediately. I was like, oh, I think about some lotion I just bought for my face. I was like, okay, what good is it? I'm just gonna burn one of these days. I think about all my beauty products.
It is a very different.
I'm kidding. I have no beauty products.
But it
This is all natural, my friend.
Right.
This is
But it is a very different ritual where, like, even if you go to a funeral and it takes time and people speak and even the casket there, you're not sitting there for a lengthy amount of time watching the body of the person that was dear to you gradually burn and disappear.
It's something about
Slowing down, right? And
seeing
really
the thing that we thought was us
it wasn't us.
wasn't us.
You know,
And it's
wasn't
like
them.
almost like the scripture comes alive.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
And when people die, it's like as if they're leaving their body.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
It was a sober moment to start our little Ganga pilgrimage. And then I was like, I'm sure they don't have life preservers on this boat. That was the second thing that went through my mind.
God. They had a few, I think.
And like 3. Fighting for
We're gonna
Daffy Duck. Go. Mine. Anyway, it was a great day.
So what are we gonna do now? We're gonna talk more about what we did today, or we're gonna read Bhagavatam.
Let's read the Bhagavatam.
Okay.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord, Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Okay. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 2, Text 22.
Is that correct, Mary?
Want to give us a little recap where we are?
It's been a while.
Remember
It's been a while. What I remember was that we were opening up a chapter, this is the chapter that's going to lead into the multi-chapter telling of the story of little Sri Prahlad, little boy, his conflict with his father, who was like the ultimate kind of demoniac figure, universal figure,
Yeah.
And and so before we get into that, the first thing that we're hearing about is the nature of Hiranyakashipu, his father's, the nature of his thought, how he saw the world, what was his mentality, what is the demoniac mentality. We need to understand it. We need to understand, do I have an enemy in me?
Mm.
And it starts with his fury, his regarding the death of his brother, that Lord Vishnu had killed his brother, right? Who was out causing universal destruction.
Yeah.
So he was angry about that. His family was distraught, and now he's speaking to his family. And the interesting thing is, he's speaking to them in ways that you would expect the brahmanas to speak. He's speaking in ways that, like,
Right. Right.
he's got that,
He's not a dum dum. He knows things.
he understands
He's cultured. He understands the laws of karma.
he understands
just
so much about how it all
hates
works.
Lord Vishnu.
He just, that they don't understand.
Hmm.
Right, that they see he must be ordinary. He cannot be better than me.
Yeah.
Right, he cannot be better than me.
Sure.
In one sense, that's kind of like,
They're
it's
sort of like me.
the essence of the demonic mentality.
Yeah, it's sort of like all of us. We size people up
Yeah.
and try to find an edge over them, and then we just hate them and hope that they fail.
I think, part of, like, we grew up with, like, an idea of, like, an American idea of, like, rugged individualism, you could say.
Right? We can do anything. You just got to put your nose to the grindstone. You can do it.
And don't, in other words, the picture that's being painted in the Bhakti Shastras, the Bhakti texts like Bhagavad Gita and Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a very nuanced kind of message. It's not, and when I hear, especially nowadays, it's these popular scientists,
Mhm.
atheists. Well, really, we should say popular atheists, but they're coming
Popular
through the
atheists.
field of science. And we've talked about this before, where they may know quite a bit about science. They seem to know very little about theology.
Hmm.
So when they present their ideas against, religion in general, they seem to be only addressing the most simplistic religious conceptions.
Sure.
They don't seem to address the nuanced theological conceptions. But there's a very nuanced theological conception that's presented through the Vedic literature that's saying, in one sense, if you wanted to approach it very simply, it's just like a child is dependent on their parents. The parents are providing everything for the child,
Mm-hmm.
and they're providing it with love in their heart
Mm-hmm.
for the benefit of the child. And if we look at our thing on its simple surface level, we're saying that is our position.
Mm.
We don't create the water that we drink.
Mm-mm.
We don't create the air that we breathe. We don't create the food that we eat.
Mhm.
It's all provided. And if it's all being provided, then doesn't it make sense to recognize that? Isn't it sane to recognize that? And wouldn't it be childish or insane not to recognize that and not to appreciate that?
Mm.
That's kind of how things start. But if you have the demoniac mentality, no one is better than me, then I'm going to say, no, it's not being provided for me. There's just a big random ball game going on here,
Right.
and I'm stuck in the middle. But there's not one person in this universe that I should look to think that they are that they are what's the word I'm looking for? Like, existentially superior to me.
Mm.
Existentially, I'm dependent on. Now, when it gets more nuanced, it goes into the nature of that dependence, that it's not a weakness, in us, in a sense, but that is part of a very beautiful relationship, that even that supreme being, even that being that all the others are dependent on,
Mm.
for the purpose of love, even becomes vulnerable to those small little souls that we are, and so in one sense, yes, we're dependent, but we're also eternal. We're also, like, luminous. We're also full, in knowledge and bliss. And even we also have the potential to possess divine love, something called prema, which actually becomes the most powerful force that exists, that we have the potential to fully manifest that. So, like, in one sense, yeah, we're very tiny and vulnerable. In another sense, we can carry the most powerful energy in the universe. So it can be presented in a far more nuanced way. You don't hear the popular atheists addressing those
We
kind
have
of
a great
ideas.
philosophy. We have a great paradigm how to see the world.
Yeah.
I can see the tsunami of bhakti taking over the world because times are a changing, my friend.
Okay.
Times are changing. No one even. I was saying, like, if you were a vegetarian or a vegan in like 1977, you were a nutcase. You're a tree hugging granola. We called people granolas.
Now they call them soy boys.
Soy boys. I never.
Yeah.
It was just like it was not even in the conversation. No one cared. And things are changing. Yoga's taking over the world. Ayurveda is sort of huge. Kirtan is huge. I think we're in a massive shift where there's going to be more, and there are already metaphysical scientists or people who study these multidimensional universe, etc. I predict 20 years from now, 30 years from now, radically is going to be a different landscape for science than what we know it.
Yeah,
we know what it was.
I'm with you, and I think you feel that here in Mayapur, and but just to wrap it up and lead into what we're segue into what we're about to read. That idea, sometimes we see a child, or when I say child, it might even be like an adult child, right? Like the adult child of a parent.
Adult child.
In other words,
Parent.
Everyone is their parent's child, right? Everyone is a child to their parent.
Yes. Like I'm an adult child of
yes.
a parent.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Continue.
We got that. Okay, next. So sometimes we see, like, say, an adult child of a parent that has hang-ups about their parents, even though the parent was nothing but caring to the child for their whole life.
Yeah.
And we see that as a flaw in the child, right? That they just got a messed up head, that they can't even recognize the love that's being given. And so that demoniac mentality is kind of is kind of something like that. It's like, I'm twisted. I can't accept that anyone's better than me. I can't accept I'm dependent on anyone. I can't. Really, it's a platform of weakness. We call it like rugged individualism, but it's like you can't handle reality, right? You can't handle that. In one sense, existentially very small, and it's far more nuanced than that. But there's a truth in that. I can't look at that. I can't face that. I don't want to hear that. And even though Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad's father, who we're going to hear from next, on one level, he's like enormously powerful. Like, just his powers is something that's
beyond an earthly power.
It's way beyond earthly power. From another perspective, it's tiny, and that becomes revealed. So we're going to learn a bit about his mentality through this chapter, his animosity to the very being that is his loving support. But right now, what he's speaking is kind of like just clear knowledge, jnana, like the nature of the soul and how it's going to die and how one should lament about it.
And here he goes in text 22. The spirit soul, the living entity, has no death, for he is eternal and inexhaustible. It's like right out of the Bhagavad Gita.
There you go.
I studied Bhagavad Gita under the tutorship
of Hiranyakashipu.
Hiranyakashipu.
Got a lot of it right, and then a little bit
it all went wrong.
Yeah.
Being free from material contamination, he can go anywhere, meaning the soul, anywhere in the material or spiritual worlds. The soul is fully aware and completely different from the material body. But because of being misled by misuse of his slight independence, we have slight independence, but we do have independence. He is obliged to accept subtle and gross bodies created by material energy and thus be subject to so-called material happiness and distress. Therefore, no one should lament for the passing of the spirit soul from the body.
It's interesting, it seems to me that the way that the asuras or the demons thought, they recognized karma and how it works. They recognized that through austerity you could get blessings, or you could, or let's not even say blessings.
They worship demigods.
They worship demigods. They say, I want to see who's got power, and I want to amass as much of it as I can for myself. And I'm willing to do austerities to get that. I'm willing to do austerities in order to catch the attention of someone who's got power.
Right.
And I have a belief that there are laws that kind of oblige them to give me power if I do so.
Right.
And so they never realize that there's that power beyond it all. Like sometimes we use that example of, if you ask a child, where do you get your food? They say, I get it myself. Well, how in the world do you get it yourself? I go to the refrigerator and get it, So like, they don't realize that a power put it there for them. Or what if there's a servant in the house that brings them their food? Then they think, okay, I get the food from the servant, right? But they still don't realize that the servant's paid by the parents, for the very purpose of providing for that child.
Ungrateful kids.
Ungrateful kid.
Ungrateful kids. What do you think about that, Karuna? Not you.
No,
You're nice. You're a nice kid. Don't be like ungrateful.
Don't be ungrateful. She's very great.
She is.
Good kid. Good kid. Okay, text 23.
Okay, continuing on. Because of the movements of the water, the trees on the bank of the river, when reflected on the water, seem to move.
Oh, because the tree's
Right.
standing still, but the water's moving.
Right.
So it seems like the tree's
Similarly, when the eyes move because of some mental derangement,
the land
the
also.
land appears to also move.
Okay, so two metaphors here, two analogies.
Okay. In the same way, O my gentle mother, when the mind is agitated by the movements of the gunas, the modes of material nature, the living entity, although freed from all different phases of subtle and gross bodies, thinks that he has changed from one condition to another.
Okay.
This is 15th chapter right here.
It's also a very much third canto. Almost the same thing is said there, where we're changeless. And if by nature we're blissful, then why don't we feel blissful all the time? All right. And Maitreya's answer was, if you look at the moon in the sky, it's steady, right? It's steady up in the sky. It's not flickering or anything like that. But if you look at the reflection of the moon on the water,
So we're in a reflection world.
well, here's the point. He says if you look at the reflection of the moon on the water, and you think that that's the moon, then it seems that the moon has taken on the nature of the water, and now it's changing, it's rippling, it's over here, it's over there. So similarly, the self, the soul, is changeless, it's eternal. But when we look to the mind, or you could say the reflection of ourself on the mind, when we identify with the mind, which is made out of matter and which is not changeless, which as a matter of fact is in a constant state of change, then we feel unsteadiness, and we don't feel a connection to our eternality. We don't feel a connection to our knowledge. We don't feel a connection to our bliss, and therefore we feel depressed. We feel anxious. We feel bored. We feel so many negative emotions. It's just because we're misidentifying the mind as the self. So this was a similar type of analogy. Interesting one.
Very interesting. Very interesting. 25 and 26. In this bewildered state, the living entity, accepting the body and mind to be the self,
There you go.
considers some people his kinsmen and others to be outsiders. Right? We do that all the time. Break into tribes, political parties, nations, race, gender preferences. Considers some people, okay, because of this misconception, they suffer. Indeed, the accumulation of such concocted material ideas is the cause of suffering and so-called happiness in the material world.
Okay, the accumulation. Really, you know what this is about, Ragnar?
Good.
It's about, if we do not have faith in this idea that we're not these bodies, we're not even the mind, that we are, each one of us is a spark of spiritual energy, then when we look at each other, we see differences. But if we actually have faith that, no, we're the spark inside, we're just in different vehicles temporarily. And actually, we all go through the same different, it's almost like we trade cars every day, right? In other words, right now, you're in a particular body and Mara's like, you're in a male body, Mara's in a female body. But if you knew that like next life, that might switch, then you don't identify so much as a man and she doesn't identify so much as a woman.
It's like a rented car. It's not you.
Yeah.
It's not your thing. Don't get proud of it and don't be embarrassed by it.
Right.
It's not your car.
And so what this is saying is that because we lack the spiritual insight, the conviction that I am spirit, not matter, I'm not this body or even this mind. I and you are these sparks of spiritual energy. Because we lack that conviction, we focus on the differences. And because we focus on the differences, and I like the way that it said it says, there's an accumulation of such concocted material ideas is the cause of suffering. It builds up.
This is the world right now.
Right. Yeah. So there's
Suffering,
my family,
differences in skin color, race,
nation, religion,
where we just randomly drew a line, and now these guys are my enemies on the other side against other bloodlines. Yeah. Okay. The conditioned soul, thus situated, must take birth in different species and work in various types of consciousness, thus creating new bodies. Interesting, huh?
Yeah, it's
Different
a cycle.
species and a different. Imagine the consciousness of an animal,
Which
like
one?
of a horse. Just like thinking about horse things all day, looking around. Here they come to ride me again. Where's the water? I want to take a nap. Just like a horse, crocodile, dolphin, whatever they have different lenses, different ears,
Yeah.
mouth, nose.
Mhm.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And then there's so many different human species.
Sure.
Some human species just lust. Oh, she's beautiful. She's beautiful. She's beautiful. I want her. I want her. I want her. And some are money. I want money. How can I get money? The more money I have, the more happy I'll be. Right? Some people are thinking like this. Some people are just enemy centered. Enemy centered people. Oh, that guy. Oh, did I ever tell you about this guy? Oh, that guy. Yeah. This every conversation you bring up your enemy. Right? So whatever that mind is trained to hate or love,
You become a victim. You follow it like a slave.
follow it like a slave, and it's like a figure eight. Sometimes you just can't get out in your whole lifetime. You can't get out unless you meet someone who can say, "Hey, you're not the mind. Come with me. You're not the body. You're not the mind. You're not from this culture. You're not an American, European, or
what a relief.
Japanese. You're proud to be black, proud to be white. No. You're not even a human, kid. You're a spirit soul. Spirit souls lives matter.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Make a T-shirt.
Randy
on that.
Kashipu's really
You get canceled.
He's hitting it. Come on. He's hitting it here. Okay, continue. The conditioned soul, thus.
The conditioned soul, thus situated, must take birth in different species and work in various types of consciousness, thus creating new bodies. This continued material life is called samsara, birth
Okay,
and death.
Sanskrit word for the day, right? Samsara.
Samsara.
The
Right, that's
cycle of
samsara.
birth and death.
Cycle. You get old, you die, like that body burned, but that soul went somewhere.
That's right.
Say them. It might have been a pure devotee, but let's just say they had to take birth again. So that's that energy, that force that animates the body goes somewhere. According to their activities, their desire, their meditation, they come qualified to get a different type of body.
Yeah.
You're working towards it right now. Your thoughts and your meditation are creating you. And we're always meditating. We're always meditating on something.
Let's meditate on this rest of this verse.
Birth, death, lamentation, foolishness, and anxiety are due to such material considerations. Thus, we sometimes come to proper understanding and sometimes fall again to a wrong conception of life.
Bobbing up and down.
Yeah. In this regard, an example is given from an old history. The friends of a dead person. Please hear it.
The god of death.
God of death. He keeps score. So people always blaming God. If there is a God, why does he make people suffer? Well, God doesn't. Yamaraj does. That's his job. It's just sort of given what you've been asking for. You want to do A, then you get B. You want to do A, you can do A. You have this limited free will to do whatever you want. But you got to understand there's some payback for that. Okay. You can't just like run a drug cartel and expect, all these vicious murders go unpaid for. No one gets away with murder. No one gets away with murder. There's always some price you got to pay. Even if it's with living with anxiety. I bet a murderer is, unless they're a sociopath, is filled with anxiety. It's filled with anxiety all the time. I'm going to be found out. I'm going to be found out. I've never done anything like that. I just want you to say this. I'm imagining myself if I was to murder.
Not in this life, perhaps, but in a
No,
previous
it must
life.
be not
you may have
peaceful.
murdered.
Once you commit, I was a lousy. All my friends in junior high school, they were like, "Hey, let's go out and shoplift." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't steal. And they weren't poor kids. They were rich kids who'd go out downtown Danbury, Connecticut, and shoplift. Did you ever shoplift?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. I couldn't do it. I just can't steal. I mean, I've downloaded some movies
quite a bit.
illegally. I've copied some records on cassette. But for the most part, I didn't steal.
I started with stuff at school, like food,
Little things like
ice
little
cream,
veggie burger or
sandwiches,
something.
things like that.
Started.
Then it built up to
chocolate milk.
Books. Books was really my thing. I'd steal
Books
Yeah, I'd steal books.
in school, like in the library.
No, I steal
I'll
from
be
the
a cheap-
bookstore.
Oh,
Those are, as far as
Go
I
to the
remember, those are
library,
all
put it in your
legitimate.
book bag. But then they have those things. By the time you can't walk out with books anymore. I don't know. Do libraries even exist anymore?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Okay.
All right, let's get back into this.
I could have gone down that squirrel trail for a while. Okay. In the state known as Usinara, there was and he's telling an allegory.
Yeah.
There was a celebrated king named Suyagya. When the king was killed in battle by his enemies, his kinsmen sat down around the dead body and began to lament the death of their dear friend. His golden, bejeweled armor smashed. Imagine
He took pride in that,
golden
right?
armor.
And he must have, when he put on that armor, how did he feel?
He probably felt very powerful. And
Very
it was
powerful.
golden. It wasn't like cheap.
No, he was
like-
opulent, powerful, dynamic.
Right. He's golden
smashed.
and covered in jewels. Imagine like
Yeah.
the power. You know what I mean? I was on the football team for a short time. And when you put on that big shoulder pads and the helmet, and during school, during the day, if you were on the team, you wore the shirt around on the day of the game. And really cool. There's like an ego.
What
that
position
goes,
did you play?
Well, I was second string tackle.
Okay.
Second string tackle, but
Defensive tackle?
offensive tackle.
Offensive tackle.
But the last day before the big game, the crosstown rivals, the first string broke into the school and stole a bunch of like milks, like you said you did,
Oh.
milks and stuff from the school, and they all got suspended, and I got to
Start.
for the final game. It was a highlight of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
How'd you do?
I did great. We beat our crosstown rivals with our second string.
All right.
It was one of the greater days of my life. I was on kickoff receiving too.
Oh.
Yeah, I got clobbered.
Okay. Well, the special teams are the most dangerous.
It was dangerous because they're
plays.
spiking you with their helmet back then. It was before that was illegal.
Okay.
Okay, continuing on.
Armor. We read about
Armor. Okay, so his golden bejeweled armor. I was talking about football outfits. Golden armor, bejeweled armor smashed. His ornaments and garland fell. He'd go out to war with a garland on, fallen from their places. His scattered hair and his eyes lusterless. The slain king lay on the battlefield, his entire body smeared with blood, his heart pierced by the arrows of the enemy. This is happening all the time. It's been happening forever.
Yeah.
When he died, he had wanted to show his prowess, and thus he had bitten his lips, and his teeth remained in that position.
Ah.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
He's like,
He was like, he wanted to show that I don't care. You think like that? Like, I don't care.
I think it was just like a facial expression of like
Like, this is what I want to look like when I'm dead.
no. I think he was just like, it was an expression of like a battle expression.
A
you
battle
know?
expression, sure.
And then he died with that expression on his face. It's kind of, it's telling.
When he
It's-
died,
it's
he had
expressing
wanted to
his
show his
consciousness.
prowess, and thus he had bitten his lips,
Yeah.
and his teeth remained in that
So,
thick
so in other words, so you
position.
can still see, even though he's dead, the consciousness that he was in when he died.
Yeah, that's not a good play. Anyway, his beautiful lotus-like face was now black and covered with dust from the battlefield. His arms, with his sword and other weapons, were cut and broken. When the queens of the king of Usinara saw their husband lying in that position, they began crying, "Oh Lord, now that you have been killed, we also have been killed." Repeating these words again and again, they fell down, pounding their bosoms, and the feet of their dead
At the
at
feet.
the feet of their dead king.
So this is pitiful
It's sad.
vision.
Happens all the time. It's been right.
Yeah.
As the queens loudly cried, their tears glided down their breasts, becoming reddened by the kumkum powder, and fell upon the lotus feet of their husband. Their hair became disarrayed, and their ornaments fell in a way that evoked sympathy from the hearts of others. The queens began lamenting their husband's death. "O Lord, you have now been removed by cruel providence to a state beyond our vision. You have previously sustained the livelihood of the inhabitants of Usinara, and thus they were happy. But your condition now is the cause of their unhappiness." Pretty scary, huh? The king goes down like that. It's like, who knows
Everything
what's going to happen?
Everything becomes unstable.
Everything, you get taken over.
Yeah.
The women, the cattle get stolen. The men are murdered. The children's slaves.
Whoa, we're getting dark here.
The king's dead. This is real stuff. What do you think they're going to be like? Okay, we killed your king. You guys just go on without him. Here's some extra money for you to rebuild. No,
That's the
they
nature of
take
this
it over.
world.
That's the nature of this word. It's like big fish eats little fish.
All right.
Slaves. You just become a slave.
It happens.
O king, O hero, you are a very grateful husband and the most sincere friend to all of us. How shall we exist without you, O hero? Wherever you are going, please direct us so that we may follow in your footsteps and engage again in your loving service. Let us go alone with you.
Along with you.
Along with you. So this is the mood of a loving spouse. They're like, okay, you went to some higher planet. I'm going with you. Burn up the fire, make it big. I'm jumping in there with you.
Especially because it sounds like there's nothing left back here now, right?
Yeah. Ladies, how many people would do that there for their husband? All right.
Yeah, whoa. Okay.
Are you married? You're married? Okay, good for you.
Right on that fire.
Right on the fire. I think it's like the most romantic thing, even though it sounds horrific. It's sort of like, wow,
It's
if you're dead, I
courageous.
don't want to live. Is that codependent?
Not
Or is it
necessarily.
love?
Write a song about that one.
Is it codependence or is it love?
I've- That's not exactly the song I was thinking about.
Jeff Eisenberg, get on that. Write a song.
He's on it.
Okay.
I think he just recorded that clip and he's making a loop out of it right now.
The time was appropriate for the body to be burned. He's talking about this. But the queens, not allowing it to be taken away, continued lamenting for the dead body, which they kept on their laps.
Hmm.
In the meantime, the sun completed its movements for the setting in the west.
It's interesting, right? Because here they are. They're holding on to that body, but the soul is gone.
Yeah,
They know deep down
the soul's not.
that,
Soul's gone.
that the person is gone, but they identified the body with the person so deeply that they can't let go of the body.
Sure.
Right? They can't let it go. So they're, it's a state of illusion. It's a very emotional state that they're in, obviously, but it's a pitiful state. And when I say pitiful, I don't mean that like in a degrading way, but pitiful in the sense that you have to feel pity for someone who's in ignorance, and we're all kind of like existing to some degree or another in that ignorance.
Without understanding the eternality of the soul, there's either that what was the word you
Pity?
used? Pity.
Pitiful.
A
Pitiful.
pitiful existence, or there's like this stoicism, which is almost like a heartless existence.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah, and that's pitiful too in its own way.
That's maybe even more pitiful.
Even more. Okay. No,
When the
no, 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 no,
queens-
no, no.
Oh king, oh
Uh,
hero,
That's what you just read.
while the queens were lamenting for the dead body, abode of Yamaraj,
Hmm.
assuming the body of a boy, Yamaraj personally approached the relatives of the dead body and advised them as follows.
Why did he come as a boy?
Interesting. He came as a little boy. Yamaraj, as a little boy, said, "Alas, how amazing it is. These persons who are older than me have full experience that listen up, hundreds and thousands of living entities have taken birth and died." Right?
Yeah.
Obituaries. Every day there's obituaries in the paper. The conditioned soul comes from an
Thus,
Thus, they should understand that they are also apt to die, yet still they are bewildered, right? The
Mhm.
conditioned soul comes from an unknown place and returns after death to that same unknown place. There is no exception to this rule, which is conducted by material nature. Knowing this, why do they uselessly lament? Imagine a little boy says that when your husband dies, your wife dies.
yeah. Well, let's see how they responded.
It is wonderful that these elderly women do not have a higher sense of life than we do. Indeed, we are most fortunate, for although we are children and have been left to struggle in material life, unprotected by father and mother, and although we are very weak, we have not been vanquished or eaten by ferocious animals. That can happen.
Mhm. Thus,
Thus, we have a firm belief that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has given us protection even in the womb of our mother, will protect us everywhere.
okay, so there's a message
This
here.
is Yamaraj still talking, right?
This is Yamaraj still talking, and again, it's interesting that this is coming from Hiranyakashipu because what it seems to be saying is we tend to think that there are material circumstances that provide us protection.
Mm.
Really, they're all fallible. They're all doomed. They're all have a certain scope of time.
He just gave praise to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
And he did indirectly. I don't think he did intentionally.
Okay.
But it is what Yamaraj is saying is that all along we're being protected. Right. All along we're being protected. If we understand exactly what's happening, and that protection is coming from a still higher source. It's not that king, that husband, that is really giving the true protection.
Sure.
Because they're very fallible. At any moment
very fallible, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah. There's something far greater. There's something far more stable that one can connect with. Are we out of time? Yeah, kind of.
Almost.
Okay, so we'll pick back up here tomorrow then, huh?
Mara, did you take notes today? All right, Miss
Mara's
Mara.
on it.
Getting close, birthday boy. He's the birthday Prabhu, we call him.
Yep.
Special K, the birthday Prabhu.
All right.
Don't misplace your soulmate to be your God.
Mm-mm.
Love isn't a hostage crisis.
Like that?
Okay.
Our happiness is our responsibility.
Yeah.
It's our nature.
Yeah. It's our responsibility. It's our nature.
We're living out Bhaktivinode Thakur's dream.
We're
Living the
we're
dream.
in it. We're living the dream.
Isn't it sane to recognize and appreciate all that's provided for me?
Sure.
That is real sanity.
Mhm.
Entitlement is
Insane.
insane.
There's a Bhakti tsunami coming.
We're in the Bhakti tsunami.
Because we lack conviction in our true nature, we see differences and thus suffer. We follow our mind like a slave until we find truth.
True.
Oh, yes.
And
No one gets away with murder.
no one gets away with murder.
Nobody gets away.
Ultimately.
And
And
What good are my beauty products when this body burns?
yeah.
is that what you said? Did you say that?
Ouch. When I die, will you throw my beauty products in the fire too? You don't have to jump in. Just throw my beauty products in. Thanks everybody for joining us in Street on Mayapur. We got a great, sweet group from around the world. Hey, look at the camera, Karuna. Woo. Remember, check out that Italy retreat happening. Go to wisdomofthesages.com. And also follow on my Instagram. I'm going to be posting a lot of stuff that's going to happen live that I might not post it, but if you're looking at Instagram anyway, like a crazy addict, then just scroll through me, and hopefully we'll be doing something live while you're scrolling. What do you think of that? Thanks, everybody. We're going to watch a dome movie now.
Full Dome Theater.
Full Dome Theater. I think we're going to learn the history of the universe in a dome.
Full Dome.
For 20 minutes. In 20 minutes. It's a 20-minute movie.
We better get going then.
Okay. It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. Let the magic of Mayapur continue. David Charles. Birthday.
Mara.